Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, we talk all things media.
Hey everyone, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. And today we are talking some more Visual Vengeance, which is one of my favorite labels of the last year here. Like, I am so excited about this one. So normally, you guys know I do a full unboxing once the package comes in, and then I'll go and watch it and then give my thoughts on it. Well, because the last one that I reviewed, Moonchild, came in at one point, and then like a couple weeks later, the next one came in, I ended up filming an unboxing already, but decided that I wasn't going to do that and just release both of these separately. So instead of doing an unboxing of Heartland of Darkness, I'll just go through the contents of this release, and then we'll talk about the movie and then the disc itself. So very excited to talk about this one, guys. Lots to talk about here. So let's get into it. Before we do, though, if you have a second, please hit that like button down below. That engagement really does help me out. But with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right in to my review of Visual Vengeance's Heartland of Darkness. So thank you to Visual Vengeance for sending this one my way. I always appreciate that. But Heartland of Darkness here is from 1989. That's when it was actually filmed. And you can see this is spine number 8. Moonchild, of course, was spine number 7. And this is, believe it or not, Heartland of Darkness's home video debut. Thank you, Visual Vengeance, for finally being the one to put this one out on home media. So you can see there on the back tons of special features, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But let's get this guy opened up a little bit here. So that is the slipcover, of course. Then you have some more beautiful, newly commissioned artwork from Visual Vengeance. I love this. It looks fantastic. And then looking on the inside here, there's our disc artwork, same as the slipcover. Now, I like this because this has, so first off, you have the stickers, as you always do with these. But this also comes with a cleaning cloth, which I love. As someone who wears glasses, I use these things every single day. So this one is absolutely going into the rotation. I love this. Heartland of Darkness cleaning cloth. It's just like a microfiber cloth, which is really cool. And then we have our little, where's it at? Here it is. Our booklet here. So this one is really nice as well. This is actually a kind of a fold-out one, so a little bit bigger than some of the ones we've gotten in the past. Probably can't show that image on the back there, not very YouTube friendly. So we'll move on. And then, of course, it has the poster. So the only one where I didn't get the poster, I forget which one it was now, but that was a known issue from Visual Vengeance, which I'll point out. They did offer to send me the copy of it, but I told them those are, oh, there it is. I love this. Linnea Quigley. No, Linnea. I always said her name wrong, and I learned in the special features how to say it correctly, and I think I'm still saying it wrong, but I think it's Linnea Quigley. But man, just awesome. She's fantastic in this. So that's the poster. Really good choice by them. So let me get the disc out of here so we can show you guys the reversible cover art. So this is actually the original I don't know if it's 1989. I want to say like 1992 for some reason, but this is the original promotional artwork for it. There's no year at all. I made that up, but this is the promotional artwork that is the reversible cover, and undoubtedly my favorite. You guys know I always say like the reversible art is always my favorite. So this is the one I will be rocking with. But yeah, so really, good release in terms of what's available in the packaging. So with that said, let's get into the movie itself. I didn't mention it, but some of you probably noticed that the promotional art actually has the alternate title of the film on it, which is Blood Church. So that's another fun name as well, along with Heartland of Darkness. But this was often known as the Lost Linnea Quigley film. That was kind of what it was known for over the years. But now, thanks to Visual Vengeance, it has finally been found, and I am just excited to talk about this. So this one is directed by Eric Swelstad, and like I said, originally filmed in 1989, and it was filmed in Columbus, Ohio, and it's kind of, there's like a city they used a lot that was about 45 minutes away, but it's basically a Columbus film. And as a Michigander, as a Michigan fan, it's unfortunate to say that this film is done by Buckeyes, so people from Ohio State. But they do a great job with it, so kudos where it's deserved. So this is a film that is very much a product of the satanic panic of the late 1980s. We are following this big city journalist who comes to this small town of Copperton, Ohio, and decides to open up a new newspaper. So he starts hiring people, and he ends up stumbling upon this possible cult activity that's happening in the city. And that's when we meet this reverend who is very creepy, but also charismatic, because you gotta be for something like this. And this becomes a struggle of good versus evil. It's this cult versus this small town, well, big town newspaper guy that has now become a small town newspaper guy. So that's what we're following here. It's very much, you know, like a satanic panic thing, exactly what you would expect. There is the idea of like the priest impregnating all these women to have these children's sacrifices, which was a huge thing during the satanic panic. So that's what you're getting here, and that's pretty much the extent of it. It's a good versus evil story. I'll start by saying that Heartland of Darkness is without a doubt the most professional looking film that I've reviewed from Visual Vengeance. It's very clear that this was just done on a different level. And it's interesting because a lot of the filmmakers, a lot of the actors, they went on not necessarily to have huge careers in Hollywood, but they stayed in the media arts one way or another. A lot of them did. And it's very obvious that these people were talented. They're talented kids, because this is actually Eric Swalstad's college thesis from Ohio State University, which is crazy that this is a college film. But because of that, they were able to use all of the equipment. Like there was a sound stage that they were able to use, things like that, and then did a ton of on-location shooting, which back in 1989, when you go to a small city like Columbus and say, hey, can we shoot here? We're going to make a feature-length film. They're excited about it. They're letting you shoot there. There's actually an assassination scene that's done in this movie that is filmed outside of the Ohio State Capitol building, which is utterly mind-blowing when you think about it today. Like, that would never happen nowadays, but it's really cool to see. And so it just kind of gives you that really good time capsule feel of filmmaking in the late 80s, and that's one thing I really enjoyed about this one. So this is a movie where there was actually casting done, which you don't get a lot when we're talking about Visual Vengeance releases, because normally it's just SOV movies that were done with like their friends a lot of the time. But in this instance, you do have actors that were actually cast, and I think because of that, you do get a step up in the quality of the acting. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not great. I think Linnea Quigley does a good job in this. I think our main characters do pretty well, except when it gets to the emotional parts of it. The stakes on this are super low when they should be extremely high. Our main character's daughter gets kidnapped at one point in this film, and it's just like, it's like he lost his like favorite teddy bear or something. It just doesn't have the stakes that you would expect when your daughter goes missing. But other than that, I think he does a fine job for what he's asked to do here. And it doesn't take me out of the film all that much. Like, it is noticeable, but again, it's just the style of movie. You expect a certain style of acting here, and that's what you're going to get, except maybe a little bit better than you might expect. So this one is actually not shot on video. This was done on 16mm film, which again makes sense because it's a thesis project. It's a student film thesis project. And I think it benefits, at least this transfer benefits because of that, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But the movie just looks a lot more professionally done than something even like, even something like Moonchild. This was, the director's 16th film, but still, if you compare these two, this feels like the professional film, where that one feels like amateurs making a movie. Not to take anything away from it, I still enjoyed the heck out of it, but it is what it is. Heartland of Darkness is nowhere near the bloodiest or the goriest of the Visual Vengeance films that I've reviewed, but still, there are some moments in this that look really good. There's some really great special effects work in this, which, again, with very little to no budget, I'm always super impressed what these individuals, what these filmmakers are able to do in terms of special effects, because they look gross and creepy and cringy, and that's just fun to watch, at least in my book. And so I want to just give a shout out to the special effects on this. Though they are a bit limited when you compare it to some other films that I've talked about from Visual Vengeance, they are spot on and they look really good here. I think where Heartland of Darkness kind of doesn't fall apart, but it really loses some of its momentum is at the end of the film. So of course I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's just moments at the end where it could have ended like 10 minutes earlier given the situation that they'd set up. And the main character chooses not to do that, and it doesn't make any sense at all given the story that's being told here. And so it just felt like they were trying to get to this really cool final kill moment of the film that could have been done various other ways. Like maybe give the main character a different weapon at the end so it's not so menacing and not so powerful. I don't know, do something a little bit different there so that the ending holds up as well as the rest of the film. Because up to that point, I was super into it. I thought it was, it's just a fun movie. It's really well done, but the ending is just like, it took me out of it a little bit just because of how simply this whole thing could have ended probably about 15 minutes before it actually does. I said in my last review that Moonchild was my favorite film that has been released by Visual Vengeance up until that point, and I still think that's true just because of the ending of Heartland of Darkness really kind of took me out of it a little bit. But this is a film that most people will enjoy more than something like Moonchild because it is more professionally done. It's easier on the eyes, it's easier on the ears to watch and listen to. It's just a better made film. But that said, the only thing that kind of puts Moonchild over this one is the ending of this really did, I don't want to say bother me, but it really took me out of it a little bit. So that was the only downside to this one. Otherwise, I think this is a blast. I absolutely recommend this one. I'll mention that this movie is available on Tubi if you just want to stream it first, much like all of the other Visual Vengeance releases. They're all on Tubi to stream for free if you're interested in it. But this is a really good movie. I had a blast with this one. My number 2, if I'm going to rank them from Visual Vengeance in terms of the actual movies itself. So I'm going to give this one from 1989 3 out of 5 stars. I think that's the same I gave Moonchild, but if I had to, rank them, Moonchild 1, Heartland of Darkness 2. That said, though this is number 2, let's talk about the actual release itself next. Something that Heartland of Darkness really benefits from on the AV side of things is that this was a film that was originally shot in 16mm film. And on the back of the box here, it says that there is a new director-supervised SD master from original tape and film elements. So whenever you have film versus tape, you just have a better restoration to deal with. Now, compare it to something like Moonchild, it looks light years better. Now, obviously, some of this restoration was from the tape, but I'm going to guess that a lot of it was from the film as well, because it just looks really good. And then on the sound side of things, there's only one moment that really stood out to me as being too quiet. Otherwise, this thing is mixed really well. And the soundtrack on this is fantastic. They do a really good job with the music. I would put Moonchild above it in terms of the score, but this is still a really strong score on this film. And again, it's all mixed really well. So the AV side of things, I had very few complaints about. I think it looks and sounds great. Definitely the best looking and sounding film from Visual Vengeance. So I'm going to give Heartland of Darkness for the AV quality 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now let's get over to the special features because this is where this disc shines. This thing is loaded. I literally had to take 4 shots of all of the different special features on this, which normally there's only 2 on the other disc. So this thing has a ton. So the big one on here is a brand new 40-minute documentary. It's called Deeper into the Darkness. And this is a behind the scenes documentary and it interviews people today that worked on the film. You get your main players. And this is a really well done documentary. It's going to be a lot of, it was a great time. I really liked working with these people. Yeah, you get that. But still, just given that this is such a low budget film, it's just more fun to watch those types of behind the scenes features than maybe something that's I loved everyone I worked with when it's the Avengers. It's like, you don't even know half the people you worked with, but this one, you know everyone. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just more entertaining. And then there are 2 different commentary tracks. The first one does have the director, and then it has the star, Nick Baldassare, who is our preacher, and then it has the cinematographer and composer. That one is really good. It's just 4 old friends kind of reminiscing about what the filming was like, and there's one of them, I don't know which one, but he always prompts other people to kind of talk more, and so I thought that was well done. And then the other commentary track is a single individual. It is Tony Strauss of Wang Chop magazine. I think that name's familiar, so he may have been on some other Visual Vengeance releases as well. But anyway, this one is surprisingly good. I don't typically enjoy ones with just one person, but man, he did his homework here. And so it's all nonstop talking, and it's just kind of facts about the movie. The only downside with this is that if you've listened to the other commentary, you've watched all the other special features before you watch this commentary track, a lot of it is kind of repeat from that. Not a whole lot of new in that commentary track, but still, kudos to him. He definitely did his homework, and he is able to make a one-person commentary track be really enjoyable to watch. And then, I'm going to say it right now, I thought the absolute coolest special feature, and this is such a dumb reason for it to be, but Linnea Quigley did an interview with a Columbus news station back when she was filming this, and it is so fascinating because it's very clear that like somebody recorded this off of their TV. You know, they had their VCR recording this, and that exact one got transferred over to this Blu-ray, which is so interesting because in this, 20-minute document or 20-minute interview rather, there's commercials. Like you get 1989 commercials in it, and it's long segments of commercials, but it's cool because it's from the time period. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, the only complaint about because there's another retro interview segment on this as well with some of the other cast members. And the only complaint with those is that it's very clearly blown up to fit your widescreen TV because it's not in full screen. Obviously, back in 1989, you're only having letterboxed or 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio televisions. And so this has been blown up for the Blu-ray release, which I would have loved to see that kept in its original aspect ratio because you can tell when you're watching some of the commercials, like you're not getting all of the image. And so that was the only complaint there. It's super minor. Who really cares? You're still getting Quigley doing her conversation with the newscaster, who was very clear that she didn't really know Linnea Quigley all that well, but still was super enjoyable to watch. There's a bunch of other things on here. There is the Fallen Angels, which is the 1990 work print. And then there's a commentary track on that as well. I believe that was like 36 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. There were so many, I'm getting them mixed up. But there was like a magazine that you could scroll through that had an interview with the director. Just a boatload of special features. I was so impressed by everything that was included here. Mostly that like the original interviews and press covers thought was really cool. And then of course, the thing I was talking about with Moonchild, what I would have loved to see here is present here with a modern day, new behind the scenes documentary that is done really well. So it's just awesome. And what I liked about this most was just the fact that how much they talk up Quigley in this. Like, she just seems, from all accounts, to be a genuinely cool person to work with. And even though she is the big name, they talk about how they were able to get her because they wanted a name in the movie to help sell it. And so they were able to get Quigley on board. And she's doing, she's pretty famous at this point, doing movies in LA, but she's going to come out here to film in this small town, Ohio, to help these student filmmakers. And they said like she didn't look down her nose at them at all. She was just a part of the whole thing, even though she was sick while filming. And so it's a lot of fun. And then of course, I didn't mention it earlier, but you do get Linnea Quigley in this film in all of her glory, as you would expect, because it is Quigley. That's what she does. And so power to her. Like, it's a fun behind the scenes look. Really great special features on this. Really, I have no complaints. Like, I have to give the special features on this release 5 out of 5 stars. This really is a remarkable release from Visual Vengeance. Not only is the movie just enjoyable to watch if you like this style of film, I feel like I always have to preface that because these are not going to be for everybody. Visual Vengeance is not a label for everybody, but it's a label for me and I'm sure some of the other people watching here today. So I enjoyed this one. It's a really fun film that I absolutely recommend. Even if you just stream it on Tubi, do that. And then if you love it, definitely worth picking this release up from Visual Vengeance because it is packed with great special features. The AV side is really well done, and it's just, like I said, a really great movie. And you get that cloth in there, which is just really cool as well. So anyway, this is a really strong release. My second favorite movie, but between Moonchild and Heartland of Darkness, this is without a doubt the best Visual Vengeance release that they've put out so far. So I'm going to give Heartland of Darkness release from Visual Vengeance 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so those are my thoughts on the latest and, as of filming, the last Visual Vengeance release. Now, I talked about it before, but there were some other trailers on Moonchild and Heartland of Darkness that leads me to believe there are more coming. I just don't know when as of right now, but I cannot wait to talk about, what is this? This is Spine number 8. I can't wait to talk about Spine number 9 and so on in 2023. So let me know if this is something you guys are maybe planning on picking up. Is Heartland of Darkness sound like something that you might enjoy, or maybe Moonchild? Let me know. And if you're just going to stream it on Tubi, let me know that as well. I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are on these movies themselves, along with these actual discs. But that is it for today, guys. One more big thank you to Visual Vengeance for sending these over. I always appreciate that. But if you guys have a second, please hit that like button before you go. That engagement really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies, I talk all things media. Books, movies, video games, graphic novels, manga, records. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching this one, and I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.